You've been told to just network more, but nobody tells you what to actually say, where to go, or how to do it without feeling like you're bothering someone. That's not even a networking advice, that's just pressure with no plan. Welcome to Marketing Career Ladder, the show for students and early career marketers who want real answers. Every episode is one question, one guest, and one clear next step for you guys. Well, today's question is pretty simple. How to build connections that will lead you to opportunities. And today's guest is Sarah McColl, Research and Insights Manager at Aberdeen and Grampian Chamber of Commerce. She's reframing networking completely, and once you hear how she thinks about it, you won't be able to unsee it, guys. Stay to the end and I'll give you the 3 things Sarah said that actually matter, and 1 thing you can do this week to prove it.
You can't go to everything, you can't be everywhere, and you can't speak to everybody. Perhaps you've got a vision of where you want your career to go, so you will have something you're trying to achieve. So you can use that to help you narrow down what rooms should you go into. For me, it's about actually just meeting people and not being too agenda focused. I think the real impactful, memorable conversations you have are actually not even about business. I will probably remember your trainer collection. Yeah, we used to come back with loads of business cards and you thought you were doing networking, but you were just collecting business cards that went nowhere. I wouldn't do more than 2. If it's someone I don't know, it's going to be engagement. So it's going to be, can you show me the new connection on LinkedIn that's actually commented on one of your posts?
We're gonna move on to the first topic of this conversation, and I would like to talk about if you could walk us through the hiring process, the moment when you just got hired. What was the process like? What was the sequence?
Years ago, when I first started work out of university, I worked at DC Thompson for the newspapers here.
Interesting.
And in the marketing department. And at the time there, we did, I don't know if they still do it, one of the largest bits of research in the north of Scotland every 2 years. Wow. It was their readership survey. So they'd bring up the likes of Ipsos Mori, it was at the time, TNS, and these companies would be employed to do this massive bit of research. Mm-hmm. But we, as a marketing team, were quite heavily involved in what that looked like, refining the questions, using the data at the end. So this is where I got my first taste of like what data and research can do for a business. So when I was coming to the end of my time at the journals, I'd actually applied for a job at the research team at the chambers. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I didn't get it at that time, but I felt like it was fate that it was like, now I was ready to go and join the research
it sounds
team.
like it, looks like it, to be honest.
So went in and had that chat, had a couple more conversations. They were very informal interviews, probably to describe them that way, and it went from there. That's how I got.
So you said your first marketing job was at DC Thompson?
Yes.
And I was wondering if you remember, what did the job ad say and what they actually cared about when they hired you? Because most of the people happen to read the job description, they'll be like, okay, you do this, and then when they're aboard, they're wearing so many hats and they get lost. Mm-hmm. What was it like for you?
Oh gosh, I can't remember, it's a very long time ago, what the job description said, but I remember it was for a marketing exec, and at the time, so through university, I ran pubs and clubs. So I worked my way from like pouring pints just as a bar staff to being like assistant manager in a few pubs while I was still at uni. Okay. So when I finished, I had a brief job in an oil and gas company. I lasted about 6 months and I was bored because I was used to running something, and now I was sitting behind a desk making data sheet packs and going to Tesco for the tea and the coffee. So I was just like,
I got it.
My parents freaked out a bit. They were like, Sarah, there's good money in oil and gas, there's good bonuses, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm bored. So I was in pubs and clubs again at the time before I moved to the journals, and I just thought everything had moved on. When I was a student doing it, it fitted, like my friends were also still at uni, so the lifestyle that you have to have in hospitality, especially like nighttime hospitality, worked because they weren't doing Monday to Friday 9 to 5 jobs yet, but now they were. So working 60-hour weeks in the pubs on sociable hours, I was like, I've studied and got a degree, I should probably go and use it.
Yes.
So I'd seen the marketing exec job advertised at the journals and applied, and I can't remember what the job description said.
Maybe you could tell me like your expectation. What did you expect to see there?
Well, there was tests.
Oh, there were tests.
Yes.
Okay.
So the interview format had practical tests to do with grammar.
Okay.
I can't remember. There must have been some maths because we worked a lot with statistics and percentages for the sales packs. So it wasn't just about me talking about answering their questions properly.
Yeah.
This actually had a practical element. I think it was my expectations was it was a fairly junior role I was coming into.
Okay.
And there was a more senior exec in the team. I can't remember how big the team was at the time, but there was a manager, a senior exec, and this would sit kind of below that one, and then there was an admin for the team.
And would you say that your expectations kind of match the reality in general?
So I actually ended up, so it was advertised as a marketing exec, and I actually got offered a senior exec post.
Oh wow, okay, even better.
So I must have done well on the test.
That's definitely.
But I think one of your questions that you let me see talked about experience.
Oh yes, what counted as experience for them?
So I think that example is a really good one of my work in pubs and clubs predominantly. What I had done in business, so to speak, helped elevate that job immediately.
Interesting. Could you elaborate on this a bit more?
Well, all I can think of, in order to get offered the senior exec role as opposed to just the marketing exec role, which was the one that was advertised, is I must have demonstrated certain skills that they were looking for from my previous experiences. Whether that was organizational skills or prioritization or handling cash, like being trusted as a key holder, all these things must have signaled to them things that made them think they could give me the promoted role immediately.
If you do remember, did you do any projects, or perhaps maybe you had a volunteering experience before you actually got that job?
All of these things count, volunteering, being parts of clubs and teams, or having a part-time job.
So again, it's all about networking.
They all make the difference. Well, it is. It's all about people and building relationships.
So this is what this topic is about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quickly continue with one hypothetical question, actually hypothetical scenario. Let's imagine Ayla. She's a student and she has approximately 5 to 7 hours per week she can use to develop her networking skills or just build a network. What would you say the 3 best actions she can take?
I feel like there's a right answer.
Okay.
And then there's what I would do. So what I came down to was context means a lot when answering this question, because if she's doing this in Aberdeen, for example, Aberdeen is a small city. But actually I think one of the biggest things that contributes to Aberdeen's success over the years is it's got this culture, this ecosystem of collaboration and networking. So if she was doing her networking and making her kind of networking things up here, then I think the way I like to do it works, because I like to just make real relationships.
Would you say like go outside, just find those conferences, events?
Yeah, I think you can't go to everything, you can't be everywhere, and you can't speak to everybody. Perhaps you've got a vision of where you want your career to go, so you will have something you're trying to achieve. So you can use that to help you narrow down what rooms should you go into. If your career ambition is in a certain industry, you should be going to networking events or conferences which are in that industry. Pick where you want to go, what room you want to be in. For me, it's about actually just meeting people and not being too agenda focused. So you do need to do a bit of research. You do need to figure out where you want to be and who you want to be speaking to.
It actually becomes more than just networking. It's like building a friendship
It's
also.
it almost is. There's a line. Some of them probably turn into friendships if you give them long enough. For me, it's not like a sales approach I'm using the networking for. It is relationship building. And it's as much about what I'm trying to achieve by building a relationship with you as it is, well, what can I maybe help you with?
Oh yes, this is actually the golden rule about
it's
networking.
Two-way, you know, and I think the real impactful, memorable conversations you have are actually not even about business. I will probably remember your trainer collection.
Oh yes, wonderful.
Other people, it might be that you remember that they have a dog because you have a dog, or
So something that connects you, basically.
yeah, but also that makes them memorable to you, because you'll meet loads of people at these events. And you probably will struggle with names. A lot of people do, because you're too busy focusing on trying to listen to what they're saying and pay attention to something else and not be like, there's a lot going on in these environments. So names can be tricky to start with. But if you walk away going, oh, Roman had really cool trainers, that's going to stick in your head. And then the next time you see him, or the next time you're on LinkedIn and a post from him pops up,
I'm gonna post Snickers then next time.
then, well, then somebody's going to go, oh, that's a really good point you made. And oh, did you notice XYZ has a sale on trainers? Or did you see the really cool ones that such and such was wearing at this event? And the conversations are genuinely building a bit of a connection as opposed to just being business.
Mm-hmm. If I could sum up 2 actions, what I've heard is that obviously just go outside, see people, make connections, go to event. If you're looking for a marketing position in social media marketing, for example, or something similar to it, just go to that event which specifically says social media marketing, and then you will find like-minded people there.
Yeah.
And perhaps the other option is I have to find people on LinkedIn, for example, who are related to social media marketing as well, so I can learn from them a bit more, but I don't know. So you can perhaps do LinkedIn as well.
So the LinkedIn bit there, that would be your positioning almost, if I
Okay.
twist it a little bit. So outreach is getting out there, or through LinkedIn. Positioning is where you need to post about what you're doing or have an opinion yourself. If it's social media marketing, you would post about social media marketing. You would post about what you're working on or what you've learned, or an interesting study or something else that you saw somewhere else, and allow people to
So people should
engage
see like
with
a live page that they actually talk to a real person, somebody who has done something in the marketing.
and have thoughts and queries and questions. Like questions is a good one, so that people can engage with you, and follow up was the third one. I had to remind myself there. So if somebody does engage with you, whether it be at an event or through LinkedIn or reply to an email you've sent them or whatever it is, or just comment on one of your posts, reply.
Wonderful. I like this answer.
Sorry, we got there eventually.
No, it's amazing. But if you have to pick just one out of those 3, the most valuable one, the one that will get the most results.
If you don't go out and network, you're not going to form the proper connections that you need to. I don't think there's a right way to do any of this. But it also has to be comfortable and it has to be genuine. So if you're not someone that's very good at going out to events and speaking to people, which when I first started, most of the rooms I walked into were full of older men in suits. So it was a very intimidating environment. So to those that don't find those environments and doing that comfortable, it only gets better if you do it. So
just pick one, something you feel comfortable with, and just go with it.
But that's it. If you're not comfortable with that, then try the positioning, try building those relationships and connections online.
Before we jump into this section about the networking and the messages and how to write a perfect message as well, so it's got viewed at least, I have one rule. There is no holding back. We're gonna give them the blueprint on how to actually build your network and get better at networking. I would love to start with the first message, the most important one perhaps. What would you say if you could put it into the template? People can copy and paste it. Mm-hmm. What would you say the structure of the message should be like?
You want to be specific with your opening line. Why are you speaking to them? Like, I saw your post on such and such. I found it really interesting. Or I didn't get a chance to speak to you at this event. The first one is kind of like, why are you speaking to them? What is it that's got their interest? Or what is it that you've seen them talk about already? Then it's having an ask. So, I didn't get a chance to speak to you at that event. What did you think of the speakers? I was wondering if you would have 10 minutes so that I could ask you some questions on your career journey to date, or I'm new to X business. So what is your ask? But don't make it too big. You know, people are busy, everyone's got short attention spans nowadays. So you can keep it light. It can be like, I was wondering if you'd have time for a coffee sometimes, so I could ask you some questions. You could be more specific. You could say, do you have 10 minutes for a virtual coffee? I just want to pick your brain about networking, or I'm going to pick your brain about social media marketing. Like, why are you speaking to them? It would be a bit like walking up to someone and starting a conversation and then just stopping. So, like,
you have to give the reason.
What is the ask? And then, what is the impact? Why are you asking them? What is it going to give you? I saw that post you wrote about social media marketing. It was brilliant, really interesting. I had never thought about it that way before. I was wondering if you've got 10 minutes for a virtual coffee, maybe sometime next week, so that I can pick your brain about how I raise my profile through social media, because I'm new to doing this, and to be honest, I really don't know what I'm doing.
So a bit of vulnerability at the end as well. It's quite nice because it builds connection too.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
Okay.
think for all of it, it's always be genuine. So if you haven't read the post that you're asking them a question about, don't say that you have. If you weren't at the event that you missed them at, don't say that. You know, there's always something you can say that's real.
Even if it's a minor thing, at least something that's gonna help them to understand that, okay, this person actually interested in talking to me, not because I'm this and that, but because of my stuff.
And they want to talk to me in particular because they saw that thing or whatever, and I could help them, and they only need a couple of minutes. So
now we're moving to the follow-up messages, because I bet you've had this as well, and I had too, when you message somebody and they either not replying whatsoever, or they view your message but don't reply back. I don't understand, people are busy sometimes, they can view the message and then forget to reply. I've had this multiple times. But do you have like a follow-up rule? Would you say like how often somebody should follow up and when they should follow up?
So if it's someone I don't know, I maybe follow up a week later, roughly. And I'll probably keep it light, something like, I was just wondering if you'd have a chance to have a look at my message, if there is any chance that you've got 10 minutes, doesn't have to be next week, I'd love to hear back, appreciate your time. And then I might, it depends what I'm trying to achieve, and if that's the only person I can speak to about it type thing, I might follow up a second time. But I think if it's someone I don't know and they haven't replied after 2 messages, I might stop. And if I did a third time, it would probably be like, I'll leave it for now, but please, you know what I am, I'd love to hear from you. So it would leave it in their court, basically. Because people can be so busy that, like you say, they've read it and not go back to it, or they've just got a massive set of deadlines at work at the moment.
So basically just to leave something so they will, when they will get back to it, they will be like, okay, this person actually wants me to reach out via email, via phone, whatever it is.
Yeah, you can try that, just to add some content to your message, because really all you're doing is kind of nudging them again. But
would you say the rule of thumb is like no more than 2?
I wouldn't do more than 2, if it's someone I don't know.
Okay. I was wondering if somebody is looking for guidance, if somebody is looking particularly for a person who can help them achieve something, and they do understand that this person is the right for them, how they should approach this person without just messaging, oh, could you be my mentor? Because nobody's going to be like, yeah, of course, sure, I've got plenty of time for you.
I get what you mean. Like, you're not necessarily going to message somebody that you've met at a networking thing and be like, oh, I really loved like our conversation, will you be my mentor? This question made me think more of something that I learned at a networking event. They had a speaker who I think is an internal for PwC down in London, who helps their staff with career progression and stuff. She introduced me to the concept of having your own personal board of directors. And most of them will not know that they are on your board of directors. As your career goes along, you probably pick up these people and you probably do use them in that way, but you've never formalized it in your head. That if I'm having a challenge or looking at something new, I'll maybe grab a coffee with one of them and bounce it off them.
Okay.
But I've never thought about who I pick for the coffee and why.
So you basically just meet them, build a connection with them, and without putting a label on them, you're my mentor, you still can ask them for help if you're struggling with something. So that's sort of approach.
And again, it's building that relationship. I think for me, if someone asked me to be a mentor, there would have to be a certain level of relationship already there for that to feel comfortable. And then actually, do you need to formalize it?
So I believe it all starts, first of all, you just need to build the connections.
Build the relationship.
You have some relationships with people from different industries, and the more the better, obviously.
I think so.
And then I believe, because it's not necessarily, if we're talking about mentors, right? And if you're in marketing, it doesn't really mean that your mentor has to be in marketing as well. It can be in any different industry as well, but as long as they're providing you with the valuable information you actually need, you can consider them as the mentor without putting that label on them. If you build a really nice connection with them already, you had like a couple of coffees probably here and there and so on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a blueprint, I would say, of building a relationship with mentors.
The same way that we were saying like different industries would be quite good. You know, they don't have to directly be you in 10 years' time or you in 20 years' time.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you if you can identify the biggest networking mistakes people usually do and how do they avoid them, what do they do instead?
I can only imagine that what people try to do is either too much or too little. As the biggest mistake. So they're either trying to go to all the events and speak to all the people and have all the conversations and do all the follow-ups, and that's all going to be empty because you can't do everything properly. Spend some time just making those proper connections, doing proper follow-up, proper engagement before you start then trying to add more and more people to your network. Yeah, we used to come back with loads of business cards and you thought you were doing networking.
Yeah.
But you were just collecting business cards that went nowhere. There's a lot more, there's like Aberdeen Young Professionals Group, and there's a lot more opportunity now for people who are still studying even to be creating these networks and to go out as part of their role in their job to you know, that this is seen as a beneficial thing to do. I'm not terribly good at small talk. If we start talking about the weather and I don't know, the traffic to get here today, and I'm not feeling like we're going to get along, you know, I'm finding it hard to speak with you, I'll end up in my head thinking, oh God, I should say something else. What should I ask about now? Should I get a coffee? I could get another drink. Like, I think I'd spend too long in my head, whereas if you get onto a topic that you've got in common with someone, it's a brilliant starting point, you know.
But even if you can start with your own topic, if something excites you the most about your hobby, your interest, you never know, maybe the other person is actually interested in
holidays, hobbies, sports, just anything that you want to talk about. What you need to watch though is that you don't have lovely conversation that again doesn't go anywhere. So follow up. You want to have genuine conversations.
I also wanted to ask you, because at the end of the day, this project, this interview series, the whole marketing career ladder idea is to help students to get better and land their first marketing job. And today we're talking about networking. Obviously, all the links are going to be in the description down below where you can download the templates, the blueprint from Sarah. I was wondering if somebody will message me that I've networked perfectly this week. What would you want to see as a proof?
It's going to be engagement. So it's going to be, can you show me the new connection on LinkedIn that's actually commented on one of your posts and you've commented back and they've commented back, or you've commented on their post and they've replied to you, or so is there some engagement evidence? But the other thing that I think would give me evidence that you've done networking would be if you could tell me about a brilliant conversation you had with someone at an event, which is why I'm saying like the easiest conversations to have are going to be the ones that are genuine. So if you go in there trying to have a polished sales conversation and present yourself as serious,
or like a target, I'll speak to 50 people today.
Yeah, and I'll collect this many cards and I'll do that many follow-ups. And I mean, for some people, having a bit of structure to it can be useful. But
don't go too much again, as we talked earlier. Yeah.
But I think the important part is forming that connection, that relationship that you build on. Because I think, is it not an old kind of like assumption, adage, saying that, you know, people buy from people.
Yeah.
You know, like
people buy from people they trust as well.
If they like you, if they trust you, you'll be who they give their business to over somebody else.
Sarah, if somebody wants to follow your work, where they should find you?
follow my work. Oh gosh. You'll find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's where I'll talk about work stuff. And I think you spoke earlier about like a post or how to make things interesting and full. Everyone's got their own style again on how they use it. And I try to make mine authentic, genuine, relatable.
Yeah.
You'll find a lot of my posts don't start with the business stuff. They'll start about something that relates to it,
Yeah.
but gets the attention of somebody.
I wanted to ask you one last question.
Mm-hmm.
If you could message 18-year-old self about getting hired in marketing, what's one action somebody can take and do in 48 hours?
I'm going to say it again about being authentic, but start talking and showing what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but be you about it. Don't try and emulate what you think the market's looking for, or what you think the hiring manager wants, or what other people are doing. You know,
That's support freedom of speech.
you need to just start being you and being really confident about that and showing what you're working on marketing wise, or what you can create, but again, just starting conversations about marketing, about the latest trends, about
And with your take on it as well.
Yeah.
as I assume. So basically, yeah, just keep your LinkedIn profile, guys, up to date. Always add something new to it. Discuss whatever happened in your life. It's all going to be really helpful for you. Thank you very much, Sarah, again.
you.
It's been amazing.
Alright, here are the 3 things from Sarah that you need to lock in. The first one I want you to lock in is that networking, it's not a numbers game. It doesn't really matter how many people you've added on LinkedIn or how many business cards you handed it. It's actually about real conversations with real people. For example, if you will walk away with 2 genuine exchanges, that's a win for you. 100 cold calls that go nowhere, or 100 cold messages that go nowhere, well, that's just a noise. Number 2. You don't need to be everywhere. If you only got a few hours a week, which most of you do, I believe, your edge is not the volume. Listen carefully. It's choosing the right rooms, the right communities, events, and conversations for where you're actually trying to go. Guys, lock this in. 1 right room beats 10 wrong ones every time. The last but not least, here's how you know your networking is actually working. It's all about engagement. Not a list of names, back and forth replies, and comments that trigger real conversation. That's the proof. Alright guys, now here's your next step. And I want you to do this before the next week is out. I've put together Sarah's approach into the episode 1 proof pack, with the first message structure, the follow-up rules, and 1 task you can complete this week to show you that the work. Grab the template in the link below, and if you want feedback on what you submitted, send it in. Here's the last thing, and I want you to actually sit with this one. If you only had 48 hours to get 1 step closer to landing your first marketing job, what would you do? Drop it all in the comments, I read them all, and I'll catch you in the next one.